And welcome, Rooster Boosters, to Rooster Time. I'm the big guy, Scott Ferrara. That's Mike, the Grand Poobah Peranzini from his home in Albany, New York. Welcome to Hoboken, everybody. We're at JFK Stadium, off from a bye week, off from a terrible loss 2 weeks ago to LA. And what are we doing? Playing our rivals. And there they are. The Continentals are up there waving to me because they know it's showtime, baby. Mikey, how you doing?
I'm feeling great. Had a rugby tournament, yesterday in Albany, the Waddy or William Watkins rugby tournament. Played
Mhm.
some great rugby. I'm ready to watch. Now I'm ready to watch. Hopefully, some great rugby.
Awesome. We are on FS1 today. So if you're non-international, tune into FS1. We're starting at 2:30 kickoff. If you're an international, I believe we're still on TRN. Check your local listings. So, Mikey, can you run through the rosters for me?
Yes, I can. I'll start off with the Flapjacks first. At number one, you got Kyle Seguera. Two, Peter Jansen. Three, Eirik de Jager. Four is Josh Larson. Five is Stan Van Hoven. Six is Jesse Perit. Seven is Slade McDowell. Eight is Willen Connery. And then nine, John Poland. 10, Bowden Waka. 11, Paula Balkina. 12, LaRue Milan. 13, Wayne Vanderblank. 14, Mitch Wilson. And 15 is Harrison Boyle. And then for the bench, they've got Mills Senarivi, Alex Johnson, Spencer Kruger, Regan O'Gorman, Joe Johnson, Holton Younger, Isaac Olson, and David Owitz. Now for
Good
Rugby New
job,
York.
Mikey. That was gotta be honest, it's a tough one as far as pronunciation. I think you nailed most of them. Good job.
I'm not gonna lie, probably the best I've done, and
Mhm.
the lack of island, a few Islander names in there, you get an O in there, an apostrophe in there.
What's up,
Best
Mikey?
of
How are you?
all, but we're gonna keep going. All right, Rugby New York. Nick Mayu, Caleb Geiger, and Cololo are your front three. Nate Brakely, and Charlie Hewitt are 4 and 5. Ben Panasso, Brendan O'Connor, and Tara Pryor, your Lucy's. Andy Ellis starting at the 9 slot. Jack Heighton at 10. Ed Fidel, Jason Emery, Fossey, and Ishmael Shabazz and Troy Lockyer are rounding out your backs. Then for the bench, you have Dylan Fawcett, Chance Wang Lucy, Zach Talafo, Nick Savetta, Jonathan Grazik, Connor Buckley, Sam Windsor, and Quinn Nawadi. So that's your
Yeah,
Rugby New
and
York roster today.
as we know from the LA match, we had a couple of injuries. Andrew Cole, obviously, not starting. Will Tucker not playing. Here they're going to be back in the next few weeks. Andrew obviously serious HIA was looked like he was out cold, so we have to go through protocols with that, especially even with last year when we didn't have the official HIA protocols. When somebody was out like that, they still kind of did them even though they weren't official. But now that they're official, there's different benchmarks you have to hit day by day. And it's one of those things where it's kind of a wait and see to see when those issues go away. We got our buddy Phil Harris there with the huzzah. He's up in the stands there. But I think I'm looking at the rosters. I mean, it's essentially the same roster they came with last time when they beat us here at home. Our roster has changed a little bit. I did see Rasaki Naholo. He is here. Don't know what the issue is as far as him not being on the roster. But it could be various things. Could be some niggles coming from New Zealand. It could be the time difference. To be quite honest, let's be honest. Maybe his body clock's not ready for it. Could be a visa issue. Don't really know. But that's the MLR. I really think up front we still have a powerhouse crew. Cololo coming in strong with the ball in hand. You have Nick Mayhew who's a strong tackler. Caleb Geiger strong with the ball in hand. I think what we're gonna maybe have issues with is with our lineout. We know Caleb has been working on his lineout throws. He's kind of been up and down. There's been some inconsistency with them. But you have Nick Savetta back in on the bench. We know he goes up and he gets the ball. We'll see what kind of issue we have with it. As far as windage, because we talk about wind, it is quite windy here. We have these gusts of wind. It doesn't seem to affect the kicks. Didn't seem to affect the throws. So I'm wondering if maybe it's just on the field level we're getting a little more wind than maybe when the ball's up in the air.
That's good. We're talking about, a different lineup for, Rugby New York. I think, the big thing that I'm looking forward to seeing is, Andy and Jack Heighton working together. That 9-10 pairing seems to be real well. Hopefully, Andy could, settle us, he knows how to control us, steer the team in the right direction. We got hard chargers in our pack right now. Ben Bonasso runs with the ball real well. Brendan O'Connor runs with the ball real well. Kara Pryor's been running with the ball real well. We have all the tools for success right now. It's just, are we able to put everything together?
Mm-hmm.
And, especially after coming off, like I said, coming off that bye week and coming off that terrible loss, if there's a game that we need to put everything together, it's this game.
Absolutely. We need a bonus point win. We got a little help last night with Toronto losing. Maybe we'll get some help tonight with San Diego beating Atlanta. We're not really sure, but we can't really focus on what the other teams are doing. We have to focus on what we're doing. And one of our biggest issues is sloppy ball handling. We really have to pick it up. I do feel an energy on the field with the team pre-gaming right now that I haven't felt previously. They're a little more clinical, in my opinion. They feel a little more clinical. I did get, my hellos and my daps and all that, but you can feel that there's a tenseness, but in a good way. Like, let's get this first hit. I want to kind of really take it. So I like that. I think it's a mindset. I think one of those things we have to do today is something we've talked about all week, is when the forwards run with the ball, it can't be passes. We know that the forwards want to make sure that the handling is good, so they're kind of like a half a second off their game line speed when they're getting a pass versus when they're picking it off in the breakdown. I think we got to stick with grab the ball, pick and go, get it where it needs to go. And that's where Kalolo and Nick Mayhew and Caleb and all those loose forwards you talked about excel, is in running the ball. I have a feeling you have Eddie Fidel on the wing. You have Ben Bonasso in support of him. And maybe we see Eddie Fidel to Ben Bonasso for a try. I have a feeling we might get one of those.
Absolutely. As we've seen, Ben got one of those tries taken back. What was it? Our first game against Houston.
Yep.
Yeah, where he was running in support. He knows where he needs to be. He's still learning, but he's getting better and better at where he needs to be. Hopefully, we do see that where he goes out and supports the backs, and they give him hopefully a nice little easy try. Definitely deserves.
Absolutely.
He's been working real hard, but we have the fast forwards that can run out with the backs. It's all going to be offensive output right now, and really the other thing too is, can we keep our hands on Bowden Waka? Are we able to contain him? Don't let him do his fancy stuff. If he does chip kicks, or we got to be Johnny on the spot. Unfortunately, this year, Troy hasn't been all that great defensively at fullback, and is given some yards, where he's playing a little bit too deep.
Mm-hmm.
We can't have that happen today. He's got to be right there, because you don't want to, give that extra space for, Bowden to run, especially if he gets a chip kick through or a grubber through. He's out. We've seen it happen, this entire season.
I think one of the things too that happens is because we have guys like Andrew Coe and Eddie Fidel out on those wings. What we're seeing is they're playing the ball so offensively. I think Troy has a lot of space to cover in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
And they're finding that he can't range it because it's so far over. So I'm wondering if the wings aren't playing up as much this match, so that way it kind of gives us some counterattack, or better counterattack, instead of just having the fullback there. So I don't necessarily know if it's an individual effort issue as much as it's just the game planning, and you kind of get caught, and that's where we're lacking. But you're right. You're absolutely right, because that's what did kill us. Is they're kicking and they're counterattacking in the first match. Bowden Waka went back to back the match before, and then the match against us where he chip kicked, took it down for a score. So, again, I think you make a great point there, Mikey. I think one of the other things is, how is a young guy like Ish Shabazz really going to play today? I think it's one of those times where he's going to be a hard charger. I think he's going to have to run straight, don't make the step, run into contact. And I think the center should be doing the same thing. I think Fossey and Jason sometimes rely on their step versus, especially in the beginning of the match, if we can pound them and pound them and pound them. Second half, all of a sudden, that step is actually going to work. It's going to take the toll of what it's supposed to do, because you pound them and you've kept them honest by straight, going and playing straight up. Almost like when we're talking about play action in football, right? You have to run the ball to then set up a successful play action. Fossey and Jason have to run straight to then set up a successful step.
Yeah, no, I think you want to try and get New England, a little gun shy almost.
Mm-hmm.
When they see Fossey or Jason with the ball, where they go, I really don't want to make this hit. The one thing we got to do, like you said, is just run right at them.
Yep,
no fancy step, just run right at them. Support, swing it out again. We're going to have to play quick ball. I think that's part of the key as well. Is
yes.
We can't lose the ball in the ruck and have Andy spend too much time digging it out. It's got to be quick, great placement, keep it moving, and no stupid passes. I think, we mentioned that, they're having a little issue with ball control and ball retention. It seemed like we were trying to make that extra pass, that last pass to hopefully score a try, but we were forcing it instead of, waiting to go to the deck, to go into the deck when support was there, rucking over and then swinging.
And that's kind of what we did the first two matches, where we did squeak out a win against Houston, but it was close because I think guys weren't comfortable with each other and they were just trying to make that extra pass versus going down, starting another phase, which I'm always a fan of. Settle it down, take some clock out, start another phase, get your line going, then run something. So I think really what's going to come down to is set pieces for us. Again, can we get some push off the set pieces? It seems as though malls have been ineffective recently as far as actually gaining meters. So that's a big issue, considering one of the big things in the offensive scheme is the ball off the lineup. I do think Andy to Jack Hyten is going to be a good matchup here. And then we have Connor Buckley most likely coming in at the 9, and we also have Sam Windsor on the bench. So it's one of those things where I think any combination of those 9s and 10s is going to be good. We also have the head referee today is Mike Wall, our buddy, Mikey Lash. Got to see him, got to speak with him a little bit. And I think it's going to be a good match. I mean, we haven't really had any issues, as far as I know, with officiating. They're doing what they do. It's the MLR. We have a certain set of guys. We have another certain set of guys, and they do what they do. Listen, we got to play above whatever officiating happens. And we just have to make sure that guys like Kara Pryor are kind of toned down, because we know that, people on the players on the Flapjacks kind of tune them up and see if they get a reaction out of them to get that card.
Yeah, you definitely have to play to Mikey Lash. We know what he, we know how he refs. Very good ref, very fair ref, funny ref as well. But yeah, definitely we can't let them, get into us, and we can't let them niggle us a little bit. We got to play our game, play it straight, nothing crazy, and just take it to them.
Absolutely. All right, Mikey, I think it's time. I think it's time to make our predictions for the match, Mikey.
Yes. All right, I'll go first. I'm sticking with my Tuesday match prediction. I'm saying Rugby New York by 5.
All right, Rugby New York by 5. I think I'm sticking by 3. I said me and our boy Jason Zimmerman said by 3. I think seeing the rosters, seeing what's going on, checking out the weather, watching the pregame, I think it's going to be one of those tough matches. I think it's going to be gritty. I do think we're going to pull off a win here at home. It's a big one. I think the guys understand that. And it's one of those things where I think we're going to win by a slight margin. Maybe it's one of those times that Sam Windsor actually wins with kicking from the post, or does a drop kick or something like that. I know I've said it just about every match, and it hasn't happened eventually. Just the odds have to give me that one, right, Mikey?
Absolutely, yeah.
So,
I don't want the heartburn and the agita of a drop kick goal for the win, but I'll take it if it means that we win.
Absolutely. But this is a Rooney team that we know comes with agita. If you don't have your Pepsi and Tums ready for this match, everybody, I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, I'm the big guy, Scott Ferrara. That's Mike the Grand Poobah Peranzini. We're on FS1 in about 13 minutes and 30 seconds, according to the clock behind me. Everybody enjoy the match. Let's go, Rooney.
Let's go, Rudy.